What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. I hope you're all doing very well. We're going to continue with the Elemental Shaman today, and I want to talk about the Lightning build. So we did the Fire build basically yesterday, and it was okay. Just felt underwhelming. It's a little frustrating almost. I don't know. I needed to do better. I needed to do more. I don't think it's a bad build per se, but I do think that like you're still heavily reliant on getting deeply rooted elements procs. And if you don't get any procs, then you're kind of in trouble. So that's kind of just the reality of it. Even though DRE is only one legendary and you have other ways of like helping your damage, all the different fire talents that you take just don't really get you there compared to some of the damage that other folks are doing right now, and even the damage that like Enhancement Shaman can do, or the damage that this Lightning build can do. This Lightning build is actually not bad at all. It's pretty good. So let's run through it. What do you need for this Lightning build? What's kind of the core structure of it? And I'll show you some dungeon footage in a minute. Number one, you're going to go hard left on the tree. You're going to grab Storm Ellie, at the top here, of course. And then there's a couple different ways you can build it. I took a pivot over here and grabbed Primal Elementalist, so you can get the Storm Elemental's extra ability, which is that windy ability. Tempest from Tempest looks like, or Wind Gust. It's like, I think it's Tempest actually. So it only ended up doing 2.1% of my damage overall in the dungeon. It's kind of underwhelming, not going to lie. But stuff that's not underwhelming is Lightning Rod. I'm really enjoying Lightning Rod a lot. That's down here. You can either take Lightning Rod or the second Stormkeeper charge if you want to. It's up to you. I haven't tried this with 2 Stormkeeper charges yet. It's probably just better. But I really do think that Lightning Rod is quite strong. It procs off your Earth Shock and your Earthquake. Or if you're taking Ellie Blast, of course, obviously. And yeah, it just incentivizes you to continue casting lightning spells because your lightning rods will take 20% of all damage you deal with lightning bolt or chain lightning. So very, very cool. And then the other big part of this build is the middle. We're taking Echo Chamber, which increases the damage dealt by our overloads. So our overloads are doing 100% of the damage that the ability dealt. So you just get a double damage there instead of 85%. And then this final one, Mountains Will Fall, right? Earth Shock, Ellie Blast, Earthquake can trigger your Mastery Elemental Overload at 50% effectiveness. So the issue for this build is that my Mastery is like not very high, right? We only have a 28% chance to get that proc. Imagine if I had a 50% chance or a 60% chance. At like in Shadowlands, I was getting up to like 70% Mastery, which is not good. You don't want to do that. But imagine having like 50% Mastery and then shoving the rest of it into haste. And once you get those kinds of stats rolling, this Mountains Will Fall value goes way, way up. So, but that's kind of the cornerstone of the build. You're going to get Storm Ellie out. He's going to have his extra ability. You're using Stormkeeper to trigger Echoes of the Great Sundering. And if you guys are sick and tired of Echoes of the Great Sundering, then you can just go ahead and try the Fire build. I think the Fire build's actually fine. It's not great, but it's fine. If you're doing the Lightning build, you sort of have to just path through Echoes of the Great Sundering. It's just there, and you kind of have to do it, and that is just the reality of it. So I know it's unfortunate, but that is just how it goes. That's why double Stormkeeper could work really well, because every time you get Stormkeeper up, it basically immediately gives you a Earthquake shock into Earthquake. Like, you almost immediately get it. The other big part of this build that you're going to need, of course, is Aftershock. If you get this 25% chance proc, it happens all the time, and when you do get it, you can immediately go Earth Shock into Earthquake. Boom, boom, and then you get the Echoes of the Great Sundering buff just right away. It's already done, so that's pretty cool. Finally, we're looking at Ice Fury with some Electrified Shocks. This thing does a surprising amount of damage, and it's only got 4-target Cleave, essentially, but it turns your Frost Shock into Cleave, which is very, very cool. And it ends up making Frost Shock do 14% of my damage overall, which was very, very surprising. It's a very, very good amount of damage. So let me just show you how this all works. You do have Primordial Wave here. I'm only taking this because it's the fastest way to get down here into Echo Chamber. I suppose I could actually take Ascendance if I wanted to, but this build is really not about casting Lava Burst at all. It's about casting the other abilities. So you can mess around with this however you want, but you're basically going to start off with Stormkeeper. You want to go into Ice Fury, in my opinion, into Storm Elemental. Okay, and then we're going to get going here. Earth Shock into Earthquake. My Storm Ellie's going. I'm going to buff him. Okay. There we go. We're going to go there. We keep getting our procs. We just got 2 procs in a row on our resets. So we have Giga Chad Earthquakes going right now. We're going to get Primordial Wave going a little bit here. Okay. Every time we cast Earth Shock. Oh, I didn't even use my Ice Fury. That was really, really bad. Really, really bad there. Make sure you use your Ice Fury. Every time we cast Earthquake or Earth Shock, it's doing the Lightning Rod thing. You can see that big lightning spike coming down. This. We keep getting procs on Aftershock, man. Aftershock is OP, OP, OP. Keep getting this. I'm going to do this into this. Then we'll do our Stormkeeper. Then we'll go Earthquake into a free Earth Shock, into another Storm. Big Chain Lightning into... So you see how that kind of works? Obviously, Stormkeeper is sort of like the Giga Chad here. And now you can see our damage is perfectly fine. Really, really good amount of damage here. And you're kind of just relying on those Aftershock procs to allow you to facilitate this Echoes of the Great Sundering build. You can see I constantly have the Echoes of the Great Sundering buff up here. That's because I keep getting those. We got another one right there. I keep getting resets from this right here, Aftershock. That's what it's coming from. So that's the build right there. That's kind of how it looks on a bunch of dummies. You're going to have Earthquake, Chain Lightning stuff, and there's Lightning Rod. Look at how good Lightning Rod is. See how good that is? That's a huge amount of damage. So really, really incentivized to continue casting my lightning spells and to never, ever, ever press a fire spell. You should probably dump Primordial Wave, to be honest. You could take LE Blast, but I hate that it has a cast time. I cannot stand that this thing has a cast time. It drives me insane. It drives me up the wall. I don't want to press it. So I know it does more damage. Trust me, I know. But other things you could do, modify this build. Get rid of Primordial Wave and put it in somewhere else in this tree. But then you'd have to change. Probably you'd have to change how this kind of works here. The other thing you can do is take double Stormkeeper, as I said before. That is the other way to modify this build and to do it in a different way. That's something you guys can experiment with. I think that Lightning Rod is actually pretty good. I think it's actually quite solid. The damage coming into this is really, really good. So I'm happy with the build there. You can see the damage is respectable. We're above 40k there, sustained on 4 targets, which is like a pretty big deal, if you ask me. So just remember, those are always kind of the numbers that we're looking for. I'm looking for like between 35 and 40k is a great amount of damage to be doing on kind of small amounts of AoE. So you can see here in the opening of our Brackenhide Hollow here, I'm working on it. There are like moments where LE Shaman really struggles, especially if the tank moves any of these enemies outside of your Earthquake. Boy, does it ever feel bad. And I still kind of really hate having to press Earth Shock into Earthquake, but our damage here is really good. Did fine there. Did it almost 30k. Again, we're prepped. I used my Storm Ellie, which was like a mistake. So the thing with this build is that there are some moments where like if you time your Storm Ellie incorrectly, then you just lose like so much damage, and that is a big problem. You're also going to see over the course of this dungeon that the Feral Druid is completely out of tuning. The tuning is all off on Feral Druid. This guy also had trinkets on, and he had files running, like that Frost file that they still haven't nerfed yet. We're doing 60k right now, so I just want you to know that this Feral Druid is going to destroy us on the meters. He's got a crazy amount of gear. I think he crafted a bunch of gear for himself, so he has high eye level above me, and he's using files. I'm just doing like a baseline, does this thing function? That's always the purpose of these videos is this LE Shaman build going to like function in real life here without having any crazy good stats and without having any trinkets or files running. But you can see we're doing 55, 60k right there. Really good amount of damage. Loved that. So this is the potential of this kind of build. If you have Stormkeeper up, if you have your stuff rolling, ready to go, you can really get a big, big punch going on these guys here. So you can see I have an Earthquake ready to go with Echoes of the Great Sundering. So my first Earthquake there, boom, we're already doing 35k damage. Now I kind of take a pit stop for some of the Primordial Wave stuff here. This is just a mistake. I would absolutely get rid of Primordial Wave out of this build. I don't know, you'd have to shuffle your talent tree a little bit. It wouldn't work very well, but it's just not worth pressing it. It just is never, never, never worth pressing it. You can see we got a double reset here on our from Aftershock. If those mobs lasted any amount of time, we'd be doing crazy amounts of damage. So, again, always keep this in mind. These are heroic dungeons still. I can't wait for kind of the Mythic Plus testing to get going, and then we can really start to test how this stuff's going. Right now, we're doing 36 to 40k. Once again, back up to 40k right there. You can see the numbers are looking really solid for AoE damage. Really, really loving it. I think this build is definitely better than the fire build, which is maybe an unfortunate thing because I know some of you guys were really excited about the fire build. Sorry, guys. I'm just kind of skipping through to the first boss here. But I do believe this packs a much bigger punch in AoE for the fire build. The fire build, compared to the fire build, sorry. The fire build really does just rely on deeply rooted elements to get the damage done. That's just really the reality of it. It's kind of an unfortunate one, but that is just the way it goes. Yeah. But look, we're doing 55, 60k here. Really, really good damage. Comes down to 40 there by the end. Let's see the boss fight here. This is the first boss. It is a 3-boss fight, so earthquake value, very high. I'm trying to get all my spells out right away. I don't mind juggling the frost shocks. I think that's okay. But not having Primordial Wave is not okay. It's just not okay. That's just the reality of it. It's so annoying. That's just the way, yeah. I mean, the Feral Druid does 100k on this boss fight. So, clearly he had Berserk and his Trinket propped. And we did 38k on a boss fight. That's great. That's great damage, guys. Do not worry. That is fantastic damage right there. Let's get to the next boss. This is the tree guy. Let's zoom up to him. Tree Mouth. Love Tree Mouth. This is pure single target. So, this is a little bit of a different test here for us. You can see how do we do on pure single target. We're not doing very well so far. But that's okay. We'll get up there. Again, it's beta, guys. Just remember that. We're really looking for how does it feel to play? Are we generating enough, you know, Maelstrom? Is there enough Maelstrom generation? That's a big deal. Do you have abilities to press all the time? Does it feel fun to play? Yes, it does to all those questions. The Maelstrom generation is great. Aftershock is an insane trigger. Echoes of the Great Sundering does lots of damage. And I really love the addition of the Frost Shock cleaving with those electrified shocks. That talent feels really, really good. We did about 20k there on that single target boss fight. More than enough damage, guys. Perfectly fine. Let me just skip ahead here to the next one. Are we at the... Oh, that was the boss fight right there. I don't know what happened with this boss fight, but it didn't last very long. We'll get closer to the end here, pushing forward to the very end, where we fight the last boss. We all kind of die here, actually. Getting to this last boss fight is insane. The rot damage you take from these guys, it's so insane. I think it's a disease. So whoever can get rid of diseases, I think, can get rid of it. But I couldn't. So anyway, I almost died there, but we salvage it. Decatriarch Rathai, let's see how this fight goes. We got Lust, so this is good. Our stats are looking a little bit better right now. Having any sort of haste on an Ellie Shaman is a really, really big deal. So... But this fight does have mechanics that you must respect. But look at how mobile I am. See how much I'm running around. You get the Frost Shocks into the instant Earth Shock, into the instant Earthquake, into an instant Lightning Bolt right there because of nature's swiftness. I really love how the electrified shocks with Frost Shock adds... Ice Fury adds that mobility where you can run around and press Earth Shock and Frost Shock and bounce between the two of them and still do a decent amount of damage while being incredibly mobile. So I do think that Ellie Shaman has this really awesome mobile thing going on. I love it. So that's that right there. That's the boss fight. That's the entire dungeon footage. Let me jump back to the gameplay here. Let me just pause that for a sec. Jump back to the gameplay and we can take a look at this. So I will say that your breakdown's going to always look something like this. Earthquake, Chain Lightning stuff, Lightning Rod if you're taking it, and then Frost Shock. Look at the Earthquake Overload. Incredible. That's just mountains will fall, giving us that Earthquake Overload. I love that. Earthshock Overload, not as big of a deal, but Earthquake Overload and AoE, of course, is going to be massive, and it's just really, really cool to see that on the charts like that. So I think this build is perfectly fine, and I do think you should dump Primordial Wave and go a different direction. You could also just dump going Primal Elementals if you really don't care, and then come down and pick up like Elemental Equilibrium, get 8% more damage, basically on cooldown. You will get this thing on cooldown because you have the Frost Shock stuff going on and the lightning stuff, and you can just put one Flame Shock out there. So I'm probably missing, 8% damage here if I wanted to do the build that way. There's definitely different ways to tweak it. If you did want to incorporate Primordial Wave, you could get rid of this stuff over here and actually go down and get the haste buff, but really, this is the core of what you want to be doing. Echoes of the Great Sundering, Lightning Rod, or double Stormkeeper with the Ice Fury, Electrified Shocks, and then, of course, the big overloads coming from Mountains Will Fall. It's going to give you lots and lots of damage, and it'll look something like this. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about the Lightning build for Ellie Shaman. What do you think about it? Do you think that it's as good as it is in Shadowlands? Are you upset that Echoes of the Great Sundering still exists, or do you not care so much? I actually don't think it's that big of a deal anymore because you have double Stormkeeper to like keep it rolling. So I think it's easier to execute now than it was in Shadowlands. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you so much again for watching. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.